No, he ain't. He right here. What up, what up, what up? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What up? What up? What up? What up? It should be a good game. Ow. Dislocated your knee. Yikes. I'm sorry to hear that. That's super corny right there. Oh. What part of Canada is in the house? What's up, Josh? How you doing, brother? Hey, Jillian. How are you, dear? Vancouver. Vancouver is actually on my bucket list of cities that I want to see before I die. Yes, sir. I'm interested to do that. I did know that, Michael McHale. Yes, I did know that. In his first playoff series, I did know that. Yes, I did. But if I let them tell it to me, Kobe's a better scorer than James. Yep. Welcome, Cabbage. How you doing, brother? Mm-hmm. Cabbage Fish, welcome. Good to see you. Welcome. This is what we do usually on Wednesdays and Thursday nights. We get in here and we talk basketball. And we chop it up. So how come Kobe and Big Ben don't get the same treatment when it comes to these accusations? I feel like Big Ben is put down more for it despite neither being charged. Let's see. Let me make sure I'm understanding you, Cash. OG, how come Big Ben and Kobe don't get the same treatment when it comes to their accusations? I feel like Big Ben is put down for it despite neither being charged. Now, when you say put down, do you mean Ben is it's not nearly as publicized? Is that what I'm understanding? That's interesting. Yeah, good to have you, Cav. I hear a lot of people they got a problem with tanking. I don't got a problem with tanking. I don't. And when I think about tanking, I think about letting the people know that yo, we starting over. And when you got a good fan base, right? The Trailblazers, the Knicks, uh, Oklahoma City, places like that. If you tell people in Minnesota, we starting over, and this is the guy we starting over with, and this is who we're building it around, they'll get behind you. Now, if you tanking to get the number one pick and you end up getting the number one pick, excuse me, and this is the guy you end up building around, they will get behind you. This is why we tanking. We tanking because we're trying to get this guy. Now, what I don't want to do is I don't want to get the impression that we purposely losing games. So it's kind of a double-edged sword because we are purposely losing games because we are starting over and we're trying to get a good draft pick. All right, we are trying to do that. But I think that people would be more accepted of it if they understood, yo, we starting over and we need a good draft pick. This is who we going with. But on the flip side to that, the idea of quitting comes into play. Like, wait a minute, are you just quitting? And if you're tanking this year, are you going to tank next year too to get another great draft pick? And then you're going to build? No. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's a slippery slope to go down. It's a real slippery slope to go down, no doubt. Mm-hmm. You exaggerated her, huh? What happened? The reason why my lives on YouTube TikTok are longer because there's more people there. I have thousands of people in my lives that I have to. The only reason why I'm there that long is because I got thousands of people there. That's why. And I got thousands of people I got people who have questions that I have to answer. That's why. It's not because I'm putting you guys off. I'm on here with you guys for an hour and a half. So I don't think Charles Barkley was wrong about what he said at all. In fact, Jillian, let me ask you this question. When I talked to you 4 months ago before the season started, what was my feeling about Anthony Davis, if you don't mind? If you don't mind letting the congregation know how I felt about Anthony Davis before the season started. Cabbage is new. So, Cabbage, my top 10 players are James, Jordan, Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Olajuwon, Diesel. I thought that he was a top 5 player. Not all time, no, absolutely. Currently, I thought that he was a top, and I thought that so essentially, what Charles Barkley said is what Charles Barkley said yesterday is what I said 4 months ago. So, I mean, I felt like that he was coming back healthy this season, and there was no reason for me to think that he wouldn't be 17, 18 Anthony Davis, 19, 20 Anthony Davis when they won the NBA championship. So there was no reason for me to think that he wouldn't do that. But I'm looking at him, and he looks like he just is out of sorts. Now, I don't think it's I'm hesitant to say that he's comfortable with winning the NBA championship. I don't think that that's why he's playing this way. I think that it's a multitude of things. I think that he's got an issue with playing the 5, which is surprising to me, considering he's a big guy. But on the flip side to that, he's also, a 6'2" guy who grew into being a 6'10" guy in the course of a year. So he may still have that 6'2" mentality. But when I think about Anthony Davis, I still feel like the difference in whether the Lakers are going to win the NBA championship rests on him. They rest on what he does. They don't rest on James. They don't rest on Westbrook. They don't rest on any of those other guys, Jordan, Howard. They don't rest on any of those other guys. He is the difference. So I do have Shaq over Kobe. Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. I don't think that Vogel should catch heat because, again, we're talking about a team that got flipped in the offseason. We're talking about 10 new guys on that roster. So the rotation was was iffy. Now, I think that he rectified taking off I think he rectified the Rondo, Westbrook, Jordan, Dwight Howard lineup. He cut that out, which was very good. That was very smart of him to do. So I'm happy that he did that. But that lineup, we got 10 new guys in the rotation that we got to figure out who goes with who. How does this work? How does that work? And it's going to take some time to figure it out. So I'm not ready to just shut the door on Vogel just yet. Not yet. Mm-hmm. I got him as my rookie of the year, Costa. I do. I stand by that. I love what Scotty Barnes is doing, but I do have Evan Mobley as my rookie of the year. Yes, I do. Luka is not playing better than LeBron did his first 3 years. LeBron in his third year, he averaged 31 a game. So that's not true. No, sir. That is not true. That is not true, sir. He averaged 31, 7, and 8 his second year, his third year in the league. So that is not true, sir. think the Steelers can pull it off tomorrow night. And I'm not ignoring everybody else, but my girl Jillian over here, she's got some interesting takes, and I wanna address her. Jillian, again, dear, let me ask you this question: when you spoke to me in September, who did I say the NBA championship went through? If you don't mind letting the congregation know. You said 3 years, Keyshawn. You didn't say 2 years. You said 3 years. I thought that, and I still feel that way because I get a lot of questions, Jillian, about, what do the Chicago Bulls have to do? And because I think that as of right now, I think the Chicago Bulls, I think they're the best team in the Eastern Conference. I don't think that they can beat Milwaukee 4 times in a week, though. I do not. Especially barring any health issues, when we get down to the meat and potatoes of the season, when we get down to May or June, I don't think the Chicago Bulls can beat Milwaukee 4 times in a week. I don't think so. Mm-mm. That weight ain't going nowhere, King. I heard that Zion is up to like 320. So let me ask you this question, Keyshawn. Do you think that Luka is better than James right now? So we rewind the clock back to year 3 in 2006, right? We go back to, let's rewind the clock back to 2006. Are you taking Luka over LeBron James? That's my question to you. And before you answer that, I want you to discount what you know about LeBron James right now. Discount that. Just what you saw in the first 3 years with LeBron James and what you see in the first 3 years of Luka. Who are you taking? Who is your guy? No, I do not hate skilled players. In fact, I love skilled players. That is not true, sir. I don't know where you get your information from. My issue, and it's been always that, and it'll always be that, I don't care about your bag. What I care about is what are you producing. I don't care about how skilled you are. How does that translate onto the court? What happens when you get onto the court? That's what I care about. That's the most important thing to me. That's not what I'm asking you, because your argument is, it sounds to me like your logic is Luka made back-to-back first-team All-NBAs. Absolutely. And James made first-team All-NBA in year 3. All right, so he didn't make it in year 2. He did make it in year 3. However, forget what you know about James today. You got Luka in year 3. You got James in year 3. Which one of these guys are you going with? That's my question to you. Who are you building around? Who are you building your unit around? That's my question to you. Because you're the one who brought up, why am I getting a sad face? You're the one who brought up that James and Luka. That's why you brought up that Luka is having, over the last 3 years, he's better than James. Is that not what I heard you just say? Straighten me out if I didn't just hear that. Pat's an absolute legit contender. No question about it. Oh, you didn't want to admit that. Okay. Okay. You didn't want to admit that. I want to get on me hating skill players. I want to get on that. Let's discuss that. So I got this new guy, LaMelo, different breed. I got him in my live. I don't know if I've ever seen him before, but I got a new guy in my live, and he tells me that I hate skill players. Why would I hate skill players? Can you elaborate on that, sir? I'm interested to know what is my gripe with skilled players? I'm interested to know that. top 3 NFL MVPs this season. I think Brady's at the top of that list. I had Derrick Henry at the top of that list also, but he's gone. Okay, we already let's get off of that point. Kobe first, now Curry, you said not a top 50 scorer. Well, he is ranked 60th all time in scoring, but that's not the point. I'm asking you, why do you think I hate skilled scorers? What is my issue with skilled scorers? What gives you that idea that I hate skilled scorers? And why would I hate skilled scorers? Aaron Rodgers should absolutely be on that list. Derrick Henry was at the top of that list for me before he got hurt. Brady is on that list. I just saw you back and forth on TikTok. I need that Thanksgiving recipe. Hey man, listen. We talk about context. We talk about we talk about context. We talk about skill set, which I can appreciate your bag, and I can't say that enough. Jonathan Taylor is absolutely in that conversation too, by the way. I can appreciate your bag and what you do. I absolutely am. When I go off the eye test and I see a guy and his skill set, Kevin Durant is super nice. Kevin Durant isn't nice. Kevin Durant is super nice. But before I get into that, I'm going to answer your question in a second, Jillian. Kevin Durant is super nice. I cannot discount who Kevin Durant is as a scorer. James, super nice as a scorer. Bryant, super nice as a scorer. What I care about is what this stuff translated into. That's what I care about. That's the most important thing for me. Production and efficiency. I don't care about the fact that you can throw the ball between your legs 20, 30 times, or you can get to the basket. What did that translate into? That ain't true. That is not true at all, because I think Jordan is the best scorer in NBA history. So that is not true. Thank you, John, about my Dominique Wilkins example. Well, he's trying to tell me that, Dominique Wilkins as a scorer, okay, he's not better than James. Well, he's not better than James now because James has surpassed him. Kevin Durant has surpassed him. But when we talk about Dominique as a scorer, who do you think was chasing Jordan all of them years when Jordan was 37 a game and 35 a game? That was Meek right behind him at 33 a game, at 31 a game. That's who was doing it. Three and 1 against LeBron in the finals. That's what it translated to. Oh, you talking about Steph Curry? Is that what is? So let me ask you this question: is Steph Curry your guy? What are your feelings with Steph Curry? Because it sounds to me like Steph Curry is your guy. And that's the thing, John. That when I said that, well, what is that in context? Well, what do you mean? What do you mean in context? After 13 years, I scored 4,000 more points than you did. What difference do it make how I was doing it? Because you were the first one to bring up the fact that nobody shoots the long ball better than him, right? Nobody shoots the long ball as well as he does. Nobody shoots the long ball as well as he does. Well, after 13 years, I had over 4,000 points more than you did. And also to bring up, which I thought that it was a really interesting argument. It did translate into Steph Curry 5 trips to the finals. And I will tell you this, Mark, he was on a really good team, man. I can't discount that. He was on a damn good team. And I think that matters, that he was on a damn good team. I don't give Steph Curry as much credit for his playmaking. No, I don't. And I won't. And not only will I not give him that much credit for his playmaking, is because a playmaker without the basketball, because this is your logic when it comes to Steph Curry. He gets doubled and triple teamed when he crosses half court. So does that mean that Shaq is a better playmaker than him? Who they created a rule called Hack-a-Shaq, where they had to foul this dude before the offense even started, and they had to double and triple team him. Is he a better playmaker than Steph Curry? Would you make that argument, or is that ridiculous? Because I'd like to think that that's ridiculous. I like to think that that's completely ridiculous. We talking about being off the basketball. I think that's nuts to me. Absolutely nuts to me. And if you're playing off the basketball and you're getting doubled, the other person who's passing the basketball, right? That is ridiculous, right? And if you're playing off the basketball, the other person who's passing the basketball, because you're not passing it, somebody else is passing it, and you creating a double team, that's not you playmaking. That's the other person recognizing that that person is open. So I should get him the basketball. LEX, what's up, brother? How you doing? I've lost credibility with you. And that's my issue right there, Ben. I think that's who Steph Curry is. I think he's a positionless player. I don't think he's a point guard. I don't think he's a two guard. I think he's something completely different. And the reason why I feel like that is because when you think about Steph Curry, what's the first thing you think about? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about Steph Curry? Shooting, threes, absolutely. His gravity gets credit for. You have to guard him. And you had to guard Shaq, right? That doesn't mean Shaq was a great playmaker. You had to pick Shaq up before the free throw line, before he got close to the basket. That doesn't mean Shaq was a great playmaker because he drew all that attention. Because that's the logic. The logic is because Steph Curry draws that much attention. So that doesn't make much sense to me at all. And on top of that, it matters to me. Longevity matters to me. It just does. A lot of people, I have a huge problem with people discounting longevity. Now, when I made my take about 10 scorers better than Steph Curry, I'm certain if you heard me, I said not yet. Does that mean that he won't be? I think that Steph Curry he's got 3 more years at this level. I do believe that. And then I think he's got another 3 more years in a Ray Allen role where he's just a long ball shooter and he doesn't do anything else except long ball shoot. And I think that he's going to blow those records out of the water. I don't even think it's close. I don't think it's going to be close, though. Now, let me ask you this, Cabbage, when you ask that player. So who is the most skilled NBA player? Well, what do you constitute as skill? So before I answer that question, I need to understand what exactly I'm answering. What do you constitute as skill? What do I say to people trying to argue Kobe and LeBron? It's a conversation. Absolutely it is. I think it's a legit conversation. I think James is better than Bryant, but your logic not making sense. You love all-around players, but you said D-Wade a better player than Harden. Since he's a better all-around player, well, Kawhi is a better all-around player than KD. I thought that. I did think that. Why do I have to explain that? I did think that. Mm-hmm. I did believe that. Mm-hmm. I did believe that at one point, Kawhi Leonard was a better all-around player than Kevin Durant. I did believe that. Absolutely. Okay. I'll wait on you. No problem, Cabbage. I absolutely did believe that because not only did he score it at a high level. I mean, we're talking about a dude in Kawhi Leonard who at one point was averaging 26 a game, and he was the defensive player of the year. So that means I am arguably I'm the best defensive player in the game, and I'm an elite offensive player. That matters. That might not matter to you because I think that you care more about a person's bag. When I care about a player in his totality, right? I absolutely care about a player in his totality. And when I look at Kawhi Leonard and I look at a guy who can score the basketball the way he does, and he can defend the way he does, the way he play makes with the basketball. Now he's not a huge assist guy, but his ability to score the basketball, his ability to get to the basket, how he is efficient at the stripe, his ability to defend multiple positions, that's a big deal to me. That's not a big deal to you. So that's not what I'm saying. Of course it's not. What are you saying then? What am I missing here? I don't think I was better than Shaq. No, sir, I do not. Mark, you do believe that, and you believe that because you look at Kawhi Leonard, he's a better rebounder, he's a better defender, he's a better defender, he's a better finisher, mid-range shooter, leader. Now, you'll get some people just like me, just like I got people who want to roast me when I say I love Leonard's mid-range game. KD's mid-range game and Leonard's mid-range game, it is not a wash. No way it's a wash. Absolutely not. But when I say that to people, I'm ridiculous. I'm absolutely nuts with my logic. When I see Leonard, and the reason why is because KD dribbles the ball between his legs and KD shoots fall away 17 and 18 footers, where Leonard, who very much like, just for the record, Leonard, who very much like Jordan, had a basic game. A lot of people don't recognize Michael Jordan had a very basic game. It wasn't a lot of extracurricular nonsense with Jordan. It was jab, go. It was jab, two dribbles, cross, go. It was jab, pull up. That was Jordan's game, particularly in the mid-range. That's very much what Leonard is in the mid-range, particularly in transition. Now, when I think about Leonard as an overall player, who would I rather have on my team, barring health? I would absolutely rather have Leonard, no doubt. I don't see Dame and Luka getting together with Simmons. No, I doubt that very seriously. Instinct. I don't like basic. I love basic. Gary Payton had a basic game. Jordan had a basic game. There's plenty of guys who were elite scorers who were very basic. Carmelo Anthony didn't do a lot of extracurricular nonsense. Carmelo Anthony got right to it, especially in that mid-range. He did not play around with you. Carmelo got to it. Tim Duncan is another one. I am a huge fan of getting to it and not a lot of extracurricular stuff. I dig a guy who can score the basketball in a multitude of ways, but what I do care about is I care about your production and I care about how efficient you are. At the end of the day, that is the most important thing to me. So when I have to defend my take about Alex English, it matters to me that this guy from 1980 to 1989, nobody in the decade scored more points than him. That matters to me. And that he shot over 50% and 80% from the stripe the entire time. That matters to me. It matters to me that at the end of his career, which was only 15 years, he came in the league in 1977. He retired in 1991. We're talking about a dude that's only 2 years longer than Steph Curry. He retired as the 6th all-time leading scorer in NBA history. If Steph Curry retired today, he's number 60, which would explain why I said, not yet. I just need to see him do it more. That's all. I was wrong about the Wizards, Matic. And I know the season just started a little over a month ago, but I thought that the Wizards would be at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Considering they lost Russ, that's 22-11 and 11 out of your lineup. I thought that they would be at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. I was convinced of that. And not to mention they brought in Dinwiddie, who just came off an ACL injury. So I'm replacing 22, 11, and 11 with a guy who just came off an ACL injury and a bunch of rotation guys in Kuz, Trez, and KCP. Why should, and not to mention the Eastern Conference has gotten so much better. Why should I think that the Washington Wizards would be right back where they were last season? There's no reason for me to think that. None whatsoever. Can China produce the next Shaq? I don't know. Hold on, my man Cabbage just gave me something. Let me make sure I'm understanding you, Cab. Skilled as in someone who's most efficient in all areas of the game and has the most success. That means to me, that's an all-around basketball player. That's what that sounds like to me, brother. That sounds like somebody. That sounds to me like somebody. That sounds like to me somebody like James, Leonard, guys like that, Bryant, guys like that. That's what that sounds like. Jordan. That's what that sounds like to me. I'll tell you what, different breed. It comes with a price, man. It does. It comes with a price. On the surface, it sounds great. Like you got almost 1 million people following you. But I tell you what, my man, as much as I dig being in here and having dialogue and conversation and even debates with you guys, you'd be surprised at the stuff that I have to deal with and I have to listen to. Being called an idiot and you don't know basketball and old head and you're biased. When I'm thinking to myself, biased? I think Kevin Durant is the third best small forward that I've ever seen in my lifetime. The first time I sat down and watched a professional basketball game was with my uncle in 1978. I was 5 years old. I think LeBron James is the best basketball player that I've ever seen. Ever. But I'm biased because I think that the stuff that the guys did when I was growing up and a little earlier than now, the stuff that these guys did matters. The stuff that Kobe Bryant did in the 2000s, that matters, B. The stuff that Jordan did in the 90s, the stuff that Olajuwon did in the 90s, that stuff matters. Absolutely it does. I don't let them get to me. No, I do not. I don't let them get to me. I don't. Because here's the thing. This is the great thing about what we talk about in here. If y'all all came in here and all we did was agree on everything, what the hell are we doing here? There's no reason for us to be here. There's a reason why we discuss the things that we discuss and we hash it out. Because I'm not right about everything. No, there's things that I leave and say to myself, was I tripping on that? I leave saying that sometimes. Yes, I do. Was I wrong about that? I don't know if I should have said that. I do absolutely say that to myself. But then there are some things that I say to myself, there's no way you convincing me otherwise. You can't. You can't. You cannot. OG, if you're going to say KD better than Kawhi, then you can't say D Wade better than Harden. And the reason why I can't say that is because, why can't I say that? Yeah, what you call it? Vancouver is on my bucket list of places that before I die, I'd like to see. Did you see the Pacers are going to try and rebuild by trading? Now, Jillian, I think that's a great idea for them to come out and say that. Right? And the reason why I think that's a great idea for them to come out and say that is because now management is accepting the fact that, where we are right now, we're not going anywhere. So we got to start this thing over. That means that the people in Indiana will get behind them. They're not going to go, these guys are idiots. They don't know what they're doing. No, we got to start this thing over. We missed with LeVert. Miles Turner, who is a really good player, We're not going anywhere with him. TJ Warren got hurt, which we thought that we were going to be better than what we are, and we're not. And the direction that we're going in, it's not the direction that we want to go in. So we got to start over. So when I think about Karis LeVert, if he's healthy, right? If I think about Karis LeVert, if he's healthy, I think that he'd be good in Utah. I think that he would help them. I think that he would be good in Minnesota. I think that he'd help them too. That's a third scorer a fourth scorer that they could have. But I think that they need more guys on the defensive end. Karis LeVert, I don't think, no, I take that back. Minnesota wouldn't work. No. I think that he would help the Lakers. But I think that the Lakers are good with what they have. I think that the Lakers are good with what they have. This thing is just going to take some time. They don't need to add anybody new. No. I think that LeVert would be good on the Clippers. I think that he would be a better version. I think that he would be basically what Shamet was. That's what Shamet was with the Clippers. I think that he would be that with them. Turner, I think Turner would be great in Golden State. A big who could shoot the long ball and defend at the rim. That's basically what they're hoping that Wiseman turns into, except they could get that right now from Turner. I think that he would be great in Golden State. Sabonis, I think he'd be good with the Knicks, to be honest with you. I think he'd give them more rebounding. I think that he'd be good in Boston too. Mm-hmm. Liam, let me make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. I get a sense you're a foodie van. Your foodie van has lots of types of food and culture. I don't have a foodie van. No, I do not, sir. Boston has Robbie Williams. That's correct. Mm-hmm. And I think Sabonis is better than Grant Williams. And I think that you take Grant Williams out that lineup and put Sabonis in there. Now that's box work that you got, because you don't have that otherwise. You don't have a guy that you can go to in the post. Mm-hmm. I like where the NBA is going. I know that it's not easy to watch because we're used to the big man, the game being ran through the big man. The point guard being the primary distributor. And now we're more into positionless basketball and things like that. And I like the evolution of the game, to be quite honest with you. I would like to see guys be more sound defensively. Like what I saw with Russell Westbrook last night dealing with Jason Tatum. I'm thinking to myself, why can't we have more guys like that? I miss the ball hawk. I miss the guy who made it hard on guys. Joe Dumars, Tony Allen, Gary Payton, John Stockton, Dennis Rodman. I miss that guy. I would love to see him back in the NBA because that's a huge part of the game. That's a huge part of the game, man. Not that I'm aware of. I don't have any sponsors. I got that dollar sign at the bottom when people want to donate. That's what they That's what they go with. What TikTok? I wasn't on TikTok last night. I was not on TikTok last night, sir. And to answer your question, Jillian, I think you and I had a conversation. I don't know if Jillian's still here, but we had a conversation. You and I had a conversation a couple of months ago, and one of the things that I'm pretty sure that I mentioned was I think Luka needs to get himself in better shape. I'm pretty confident that I did say that. Liam, good to see you, brother. Take it light, brother. I'll be back. I'll see you soon. So, Yeah, Jillian, I think that we had a conversation a couple of months ago, and I think that I had mentioned that I think Luka could get himself in better shape, and he needs to take better care of his body. And lo and behold, Luka comes out and tells us that my conditioning needs to get better. Well, that's obvious. You need to take better care of your body. There's a reason why you break down at the end of games, because you're not in good shape. And I could tell looking at his body, he doesn't take care of his body. There's a reason why. There's a reason why last season Joker ended up winning the league MVP. That's almost, if I'm out of line, straighten me out. But have you seen before last season? Had you seen Joker in better shape than he was last year? And there's a reason why he played at the level that he played at last season, and he's still playing at that level this season. He's taking much better care of his body. So he's able to outlast a lot of guys. His skill set is what it is. And he is improving, but that matters. How come, see this right here? This is exactly what I'm talking about. My man, Different Breed. When I said that, I'm on some straight nonsense, because I don't think that there's much left for Luka. I think that Luka came into the game polished, but I don't think that I'm going to see much more. I don't think you're going to get much more out of him unless he gets himself in better shape. But I don't think that we've seen, and I think Luka is 6'8". Yeah, I think he's 6'8", weighing in at 260. Now that works if you LeBron James 6'8", 6'9", and you a super freak athletically. Is Luka a super freak athletically? I don't think so. So when I said that I don't really see that much more improvement in Luka, now does that mean that Luka isn't great? I think he's absolutely awesome. But I just don't see that much more improvement in him. And I think that's primarily due to, I look at his body and I look at how he takes care of himself. Mm-hmm. Told by someone online I didn't know basketball, coaching the NCAA tournament, the NIT, NBA clients, watch Kobe train over the summer in person numerous times, still consult on player development. Yeah, John, but you don't know anything about basketball. You are clueless. You have no idea how the game is played. You have no idea what it takes to be a great player. You haven't seen nearly enough basketball. You are an idiot if you think that this, and you are clueless about You have no idea. Can you believe it, my man? It's pretty incredible to listen to that sort of stuff, man. It's nuts to listen to. I know. I completely understand where you are, my man. You know, I have no idea what I'm talking about. No idea. Mm-mm. No idea what I'm talking about. So, wait a minute. There was something that I missed. Charlie, I'd like to know what happened with Luka. Not Luka, I'm sorry, with CJ McCullough. When I think about a collapsed lung, I think about somebody getting shot. I think about somebody being in a car crash or something like that. What the hell happened for you to get a collapsed lung? That's nuts to me. And now it's been reported that Philadelphia is not interested in any package that involves CJ McCullough. They have no interest whatsoever. No. Right. It's nuts to think that. I don't know, man. I think Bonds is a better scorer right now, but I think Mobley, his ability to rim protect, his ability to step out and knock down the 15 to 18 foot mid range, and I also think that Bonds is in a different role, so that helps illuminate his game as opposed to Mobley. Like, they don't run the offense through Mobley, which I think they will do eventually. I do think that. But I think that a lot of stuff that Barnes does, and the fact that he's in Toronto, I think that helps illuminate him. Cleveland, they might make the playoffs. I think they can make the playoffs. So your mother fell off a desk and had a collapse lung a few weeks ago. Mom, get off the desk before you crack your head open. What are you doing, Mom? Can't leave you nowhere. Can't leave you alone for 5 minutes, Mom. You're going to crack your head open. What are you doing? Oh, my God. That's not ridiculous to think, Trey. That is not ridiculous to think. But the question is, that's not ridiculous to think, Trey, that once he gets himself in shape, the question is the commitment there? That's the $1 million question. That's the $1 million question. Is the commitment there? Because if the commitment is there, we're having a completely different conversation. But where he is right now, I haven't seen, and I don't think I'm going to see much of an improvement from him. No. I did not know that Markin might have to go into the Army. That's nuts. Really? Mobley reminds me more of Chris Bosh, to be honest with you. That's what he looks like to me. So maybe this thing isn't as serious, Jillian, as I think it is. So this is something that the human body is a lot more complex and quite awesome than I think. I have an incredible healing power. I'm very much a self-contained unit. That's pretty impressive. Absolutely, it matters, Zillows. And the reason why it matters is because they building that unit around him. So are we going to waste years building the unit around a guy who's not getting in shape and who's not going to play at the level we need him to play at in order for us to be contenders? That absolutely matters. Just keep playing. That's all Jalen Green can do in order to keep playing. Curry breaks the record tonight. OG, no Dame, no McCullough. And don't leave out that the Trailblazers are at the bottom of the NBA in guarding against the three. I think that he breaks it on Saturday against Philadelphia. I don't think he breaks it tonight. I think he does it on Saturday against Philadelphia and against his brother's team. That's what, with his people in the house. Yeah, I think he does it then. They think the pace today is same as decades before. It isn't. The math is different. It's way different, John. It's not nearly as what it used to be. I get a lot of people. If Curry played in the 90s, he would be dominant. I think so. I don't think that Steph Curry wouldn't. I don't think he's one of those guys who wouldn't survive in the 90s or in the 80s. Absolutely. Now, I think that I think that his game would change a bit. And the reason why I think his game would change a bit is because how the offense was ran. But I still think that he would be, because there were long ball shooters back then. Craig Hodges was a long ball shooter. Dale Ellis, who scored at a high rate, he was a long ball shooter. Chris Mullin was a long ball shooter. So that's not to say that Steph Curry couldn't do today. He couldn't do then what he's doing today, because there were long ball shooters back then. They just didn't shoot the long ball as much as he's shooting it today. We're talking about a dude who averages, I think he averages 5.5 threes a game that he hits, not that he shoots, that he hits. What's today? Today is Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday when they played. He shot 7 threes. I mean, he shot 13 threes and made 7 of them. So, Ben, good to see you, my man. Absolutely. No doubt. Good to see you. I don't know, Zillow, because I think that Tim Hardaway is one of the best D&3 guys in the game. I look at Porzingis, and I think Porzingis' game, I think it's limiting him. I think that I think if he played closer to the basket, not played on the box. Let's make sure that we 100% clear. It's the difference between playing on the box and playing closer to the basket. I think that would be more of an advantage to him. I think he lets defenses off the hook with shooting the long ball more than he should. That's not to say that he can't shoot the long ball, but I think that he lets a lot of defenses off the hook by shooting the long ball. A guy that's 7'3", who is that kind of athlete around the basket, 15, his game, he could shoot the long ball when it's necessary, but his game should be 15 to 18 feet. And that's as far out as he should go. He shouldn't be any further than that. OG, I wasn't born in the 90s, but I saw TikTok, the Cavs with Mark Price, draft LeBron. How does his career go? It doesn't work. It would be the same as it would be the same as him playing with John Stockton. It would be the same as James playing with Isaiah Thomas. James needs the basketball, and not just in transition to score. James is a one-on-one player. These guys are primary distributors. James is also a distributor, and that's going to hamper their game. Now, Richard, I think that I can agree with that logic that Bosch floated around the high post in the perimeter. He did that later on in Toronto. So we talking maybe year 4, year 5, where he started doing that. But early on, like when he first came out of Georgia Tech, that's where his game was, where you see Mobley at. His game was in the mid post. And he started to develop his game where he was able to stretch it a little bit more. And then he developed the 3-ball when he got to Miami. Pat, your friend is insane. Oh, I'm sorry. You said asinine. Yeah. Oh, boy. And Zillow, understand something. That doesn't mean that you got to be Shaquille O'Neal or Chamberlain, Olajuwon, or you got to park yourself on a box and ask for the ball. No. But when you get a 6'9" guy on you who we know can't cover you, you flash into the mid post and exposing him there, absolutely do that. Absolutely. When you get switched on to when you get a 6'7" guy switched on to you, punish him. Take him to the box and punish him. Absolutely. I think you get a 6'7" guy on you, and I think you letting these guys off the hook shooting the long ball. Absolutely. It's an award-winning show, Jillian. I love Charles is the comic relief. Kenny Smith he's the intellect. Shaq is the star, and Ernie is the moderator. And none of that works without any of those guys. Like none of this works without Ernie. No doubt about it. I love Inside the NBA. What I think that they did that was important, that a lot of people don't talk about, is I love the fact that they moved from Thursday to Tuesday night because of football. And once football season is over, because nobody wants to compete with football, absolutely not. Once the season is over, I think they'll go back to Thursday night. Who is the modern day Rashard Lewis? So we're talking about a 6'10" guy that can shoot the long ball, right? A 6'10" guy who can shoot the long ball, who's efficient at the stripe, who was good in transition, not an exceptional athlete. He was a solid athlete, could score in the mid-range. I thought MPJ was actually on his way to being that. And maybe he can be on his way to being that. Hang on for a second because I think I missed that. Ian, you were asking me about the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger retiring. Well, let me ask you this question: if, let's say, in Game 2 of this season, the current season that we're in right now, if Ben Roethlisberger would have, after Week 2 or after Week 3, Ben Roethlisberger would have said, "I'm announcing my retirement effective immediately," how would you have felt about that? Because the last thing that I want to do is I want to see a guy stick around longer than he should have. Like I think Ben should have hung him up 2 years ago. I feel the same way about Eli Manning. When I saw Eli Manning, I think that he was a top 10 quarterback in the year they won the Super Bowl, and the year after that, I thought he was a top 10 quarterback. I think by 16, that was in year 12, that's when he was going the other way. So by 15, I thought that he was by 15, I thought he was going the other way. By 16, 17, I thought Eli was washed. I did. I thought he was washed. So by year 13, and at this point, I think that it was just more legacy for him than it was anything. And I feel like that's what's going on with Ben Roethlisberger. There's no realistic expectation of the Steelers winning the Super Bowl with Ben Roethlisberger. I don't think that that's realistic for them. Would you prime Dirk in today's game with managers? Is he a top 10 player? Prime Dirk, is he a top 10 player? I do believe he's a top 10 player. I think he's better than Luka. Prime Dirk, yeah, I think he's better than Luka in his prime. If Dirk is playing right now and Luka's playing right now, I think Dirk is better than Luka. Yeah, I do think that. I don't know if I don't know if they're the original Splash Brothers because I mean, Tim Hardaway and Chris Mullin, they were pretty good long ball shooters also. So when I think about Dirk Nowitzki, I think he's a top 10 player in the NBA today. So I think he would be. Let's see, Embiid, I think is a top 10 player. Joker is a top 10 player. I think DeRozan is a top 10 player. I think KD is a top 10 player. James is a top 10 player. Curry, Giannis is a top 10 player. That's seven right there. Um, I think James Harden is a top 10 player. Uh, I think Dirk Nowitzki would be a top 10 player today. Absolutely, I do. Can you handle it, John? Can you handle it, John? Yes or no? I'd like your opinion on a theory. Mine, big bro. If Ralph Sampson stayed healthy, is he a top five all time at the post? I don't know if he's a top five player, but we definitely are having that conversation about him being in the top 10 we definitely having that conversation about him being a top 10 big man all time. We absolutely are having that conversation. No question about it. Because I look at a guy and Ralph Sampson at 7'3", 7'4", who could handle the basketball, who was a freak athlete, the way he ran up and down the floor, his ability to rebound, his ability to score. Had he been able to stay healthy and how tough as nails he was, yeah. If he stayed healthy for 12 years, we are absolutely having a conversation of Ralph Sampson as a top 10 big man of all time. No doubt about it. That includes Dwight Howard and Lonzo Mourning and Patrick Ewing. We got to throw. I think that we putting Ralph Sampson may be ahead of those guys. Yeah, I do think that. How was Bird that? Oh my God, I've had this conversation so many different times. So whatever you tell me, Glenn, I can counter that with what Bird was doing. I mean, we're talking about a guy in Bird who, after 13 years, he scored over 20,000 points. He retired with 21,000 points. I believe that was in the top 10 all time when he retired. That's number one. Larry Bird was first team All NBA for nine times in 10 years. He was first team All NBA. He was a more efficient scorer than Kobe Bryant. Um, he was a better rebounder than Kobe Bryant. He was a better passer than Kobe Bryant. He was a better playmaker than Kobe Bryant. Kobe was a better athlete than him. Um, Kobe played at an elite level defensively longer than him. So I think Bryant gets the edge on that. But I think Bird was a better all around player than Kobe Bryant. I do believe that. I don't know if he was a taller version of because David Robinson was a freak athlete also. Wow. Yeah, you may be able to make that argument. I think David was a little better rebounded and a better defender than Ralph. Hmm. That has changed because we were halfway through the season at that point, and he had 7 interceptions. He was on his way to a double-digit interception season. He was the best cornerback in the game, and he was instrumental to what the Cowboys was doing. But in terms of a league MVP, I mean, I still think he's in the conversation, but I definitely think he's at the top of that list. Him and Mika Parsons are at the top of that list for Defensive Player of the Year, no doubt about that. But I think that my tune has changed with him because he hasn't been playing up to that level since then. My current Defensive Player of the Year candidates. I think Lou Dort is in that conversation. I think that Giannis is in that conversation. Um, I'm thinking about somebody, and why is this? I'm looking right at him. Oh, Mikal Bridges. I think we got to talk about him in that conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. Um, Thibault from Philadelphia. Absolutely. Well, you didn't really waste your time with that, my man, because you had to find out. You know what's worse than knowing? Not knowing. So Rudy Gobert is absolutely at the top of that list, Julian. He leads the NBA in rebounding. I think he's third in the league in blocks, and he leads the NBA in win shares. Yeah, he's absolutely at the top of that list. Well, it's not just personal reasons. It's also accolades as well, because I don't just go off of accolades alone. I mean, that stuff matters, no question about that. And a lot of people that I talk to, they don't accept the fact that, what you produced, what your skill set produced, that stuff matters, man. That stuff absolutely matters. So when I look at a guy in Larry Bird who was the league MVP 3 straight years, 3 straight years he was the league MVP, and it wasn't a fluke neither. It wasn't a fluke, because the year after, in the 87-88 season, he went 50, 40, 90 that year. Not only did he go 50, 40, 90, he was 28 and I think almost 10 that year. 28, 10, and almost 6. And then the next year in the 88 season, he went almost 30 and 10 and went 50, 40, 90 again. So when I think about him as an all-around player and what his skill set produced, and the fact that he was the best player on his team the entire time he was on the team, he was the best player on that team, no question about it. And he was the best player in the championship series. He was the best player in the championship series. That stuff matters to me. Absolutely, it does. Why didn't Bird like to dribble the ball? If you don't think Bird liked to dribble the ball, then you didn't watch Bird. Gary Payton II? Yeah. We can have that conversation about him too. Yeah, we absolutely can. Yes, we can. Mm-hmm. And we can also have that. Draymond, he's always in the conversation as the best defensive player in the game. Always, just like Rudy Gobert is always in the conversation. So just like Giannis is going to always be in that conversation, because Giannis plays defense at such a high level. So these guys are always going to be that, right? They're always going to be in that conversation. They're always going to be that. So what do we have? Which guys do we have that are involved in this conversation that separate themselves? So when I look at Gary Payton, him as who Gary Payton reminds me of? Gary Payton reminds me of a more athletic version of Derek Fisher. That's what he looks like to me. More athletic version of Derek Fisher. If he could shoot the long ball, he'd be a starter in the NBA. If he could shoot the long ball, I think he'd be a starter in the NBA. No doubt about it. I think him being on this crew in Golden State, I think that helps him tremendously. No doubt about it. What was a big red flag for you? I'm sorry, I missed it. First impressions. She seemed amazing. I didn't really like the people she would associate herself with. Hey, that's important, man. That's important right there. Yeah, that Rafe, that's absolutely important. You know what you're doing? You know what you're doing? You're not just looking at the pretty face. You're looking at the other stuff. Like, who you hanging out with? What kind of friends does she got? What kind of job does she have? That stuff matters, yo. Hell yeah, that stuff matters. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. My main argument for LeBron over Jordan. What's your main argument for Jordan over LeBron? I'm good, DJ. How you doing, brother? Caruso, we gotta have that conversation about him too. Absolutely. Yeah, we already talked about the Pacers, yo. Mm-hmm. You absolutely watched the wrong game, right? Larry Bird was an exceptional ball handler. He was an exceptional passer. That's how he got to the basket. That's how he set up Robbie Parrish. That's how he set up Kevin McHale. That's how he set up Dennis Johnson. Absolutely. No, Ozzy, rings are not the most important accolade to measure greatness. They're just not for me, because it's so much goes into you winning it. It's not just you winning it. Because if we had, I can't say, am I ridiculous? Because so if you going off the logic that Jordan won the NBA championship 6 times, is that correct? I just want to make sure that we 100% clear on this, Ozzy. Are you going off the logic that Michael Jordan won 6 NBA championships and that he's undefeated in the NBA Finals? Is that correct? So that's what you're going on. So I can counter that with, just so you know, Havlicek is 8-0 in the finals. Sam Jones is 10-0 in the finals. Now that's ridiculous, isn't it? I don't think Havlicek is better than Jordan. I don't think Sam Jones is better than Jordan. So I can't just go off of that. That doesn't work. I can't just go off of that. I never said it was the only accolade. Well, it's the most important. Well, if it's the most important thing, then we can't do this without that. Man. And that's a good thing for you too, Rafe. Absolutely. That's a good thing that you recognize that early and that you didn't waver from that. Yeah, that's a good thing that you didn't waver from that. No, it was not a bad thing. No, it was not, sir. Mm-mm. Right. There's no reason for you to even hoops 24. Why would you wouldn't even entertain that conversation if you're talking about Robert Ory as one of the best player of all time. You wouldn't even entertain that because I wouldn't either. Neither would I. I'm not watching any game right now, but the Heat and Milwaukee are getting ready to come on in a little bit. She ain't the first girl that you met that you was wrong about, and she ain't the last, my man. But if you don't remember nothing, Rafe, remember this: in your life, you're gonna meet some girls, all right? And in the process of meeting girls, there's only gonna be 3 of them, and of these 3, only one of them is the one. Only one of them is the one. But you're gonna meet a bunch, but there's only gonna be 3. So all the other ones that you met, they don't matter. It's only gonna be 3, and of those 3, you got to pick the one. We hope you have my hairline at my age. I, it's genetics, to be honest with you. In my family, the men in my family, and I knew it when my hair started turning white. I knew that I wasn't going to lose it. I knew that it was going to be just snow by the time when I got to be a certain age. I was like, yo, it's probably going to just be snow. I'm not going to lose it though. Like Oscar Robertson, that's what it was going to be for me. That makes him the GOAT, absolutely. And that's a legit argument. And my counter to that, Ozzy, is LeBron James is the most complete basketball player that I've ever seen. I don't see anybody else. There isn't any other basketball player that I've seen in my lifetime that did as many things as good as him. You might do this better than him. You might even do this and this better than him. But nobody did all of these things as good as him. Nobody. Actually, LeBron is not 4-10. He's 4-6. He went to the finals 10 times, won 4 and lost 6. He didn't lose 10 finals. Damn, get a man some credit, yo. The big OG. Who is the most reliable player of all time? That's a you could rely on Tim Duncan. You knew that he was going to be there. Absolutely. Um, James, Jabbar, a guy that I know for a fact this guy is going to be here. Jordan, absolutely. I'm right with you, John. You in the dentist chair. I'm in the waiting room, about to get a root canal. That's where I'm at with it, John. I'm right behind you, brother. Right behind you. Player's bag is very important, but it's not. It doesn't. It's not very high on my. It's important, but it's not very high on my list. It is not snowing here. Jillian knows. It's 85 degrees here today. I'm sorry, 82 degrees here today. Not 85. Well, if you're the most complete player, it matters what that translated into. That's not something that just because you're the most complete player, you could be the most complete singer. Does that mean you're the best entertainer of all time? No, it does not. What did that translate into? Just because you were the most complete singer, what did it translate to? Well, with James, it actually translated into that. Before his career's over, he's going to be the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. He's looking at being a top 5 distributor of all time. We're looking at a dude who could possibly break into the top 10, I'm sorry, top 15 all time in rebounding. I don't think he's going to break into the top 10 in steals, but I think he's already in the top 10 in steals now that I think about it. I do know he's in the top 10 in assists, but he's got the most points in playoff history. He's the only guy in NBA history to average a triple, almost average. I think he averaged a triple double in the finals. So, I mean, that stuff matters, B. It just does. And how long did Leonard do it for? How long did Leonard do that for? Number one. And Kawhi is not the best two-way player of all time. No, he is not. No, he is not. I don't think Kawhi Leonard was better than Scottie Pippen. I know. I've said that to you in the past, and you're not going to rope me into that dumbass argument again. And I do not think that Kawhi Leonard was a better player than Scottie Pippen. And I'm not getting into that with you again. So let's dead it, please. I've had this dumbass argument with you more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times, and I'm over it. It seems like it's something where you're just beating a dead horse. Like the minute I say it, the minute I say it, I just keep. I feel like I keep repeating myself over and over again and what my argument is, and it still feels like that I'm still trying to be convinced otherwise. If I was wrong, then I would say I'm wrong, and then I have to accept that. But ain't nothing wrong with that, Rafe. And you'll get that too. You'll absolutely get that. Absolutely, you'll get that. No doubt about it. No, that's not too much to ask. That's legit. Elvin Hayes had crazy durability. Absolutely. I think Elvin Hayes is a top 10. If I'm thinking about power forwards of all time, I think that Elvin Hayes is a top 10 power forward all time. No doubt in my mind. You will not get an argument out of me. No way will you get an argument out of me over that. Mm-mm. And Ozzy, you will not get an argument out of me for that right there. You will not. Anytime anybody would step to me and go, Jabbar is the best, you will not get, because you can make a solid, or I can make a solid argument that Jabbar is the best player to ever play basketball. I can absolutely make that argument. Absolutely. You stopping at finals and at being in the finals, winning 6 championships. How about he won 6 league MVPs too? Don't leave that out. That's important to mention. So you won't get an argument out of me if you thought that Jabbar was the best to ever do it. You won't get that argument out of me. No. Mm-mm. I got Elvin Hayes at 7 on the power forward list. Mm-hmm. So now we gonna hold it against Jabbar because he was bigger than everybody else. So we're gonna hold that against Jabbar. Like Chamberlain wasn't running around when Jabbar was playing. Right. Mm-hmm. Where do you think the skyhook came from? That's that's where the skyhook came from, because he was banned from dunking. Mm-hmm. I don't think Kempezo is an all-star, even though he's been really good in Denver. But that's going to be a tough sell in the Western Conference. A really tough sell in the Western Conference, no doubt. Mm-hmm. I think Artis Gilmore wasted time in the ABA. I think that he would have been higher on the all-time list, not just in scoring, but as a big man. I think he would have been higher on the all-time list if he went right to the NBA. I think he wasted his time in the ABA. I do believe that. Artis Gilmore, one of the best big men, one of the best rebounders, one of the best rim protectors, an exceptional athlete during his time. He was incredible. And I think he wasted his time in the ABA. And those were years that he wasn't getting back in the NBA. Same thing with Doc. Same thing with Doc. Mm-hmm. Well, Jabbar was considered better than MJ at one point. Absolutely. And then Jordan passed him. So it's not a situation where Jabbar wasn't considered better than Jordan. And there are a lot of people who think that Jabbar is better than Jordan. A lot of people who think that. When I think about scoring, I think about a guy in James who he did it for so long, right? I mean, Jabbar didn't average 25 a game for 18 straight years. I mean, that's a big deal. So, to score at a high level for a long time, I hate the fact that, and I catch a lot of heat for saying this, I think that Jordan saved his legacy when he quit that first time, when he quit after the 92-93 season. I think he saved his legacy because I don't think they beat the Rockets. And I think that we talking about Jordan a lot differently today than we would be talking about him had he stayed. I think we're talking about him completely different. No doubt in my mind. Yes, he did play against real big men. Chamberlain was in the league when he was playing. Thurman was in the league when he was playing. Willis Reed was in the league when he was playing. Bill Russell was in the league when he was playing. Elvin Hayes was in the league when he was playing. So come on, man, knock that. He ain't play against real big men. Knock that off, please. Why ban him from dunking? The same reason why they said that Chamberlain, the same reason why they said you have to shoot free throws from behind the free throw line. The same reason why you can't catch the ball on the top of the backboard, because it's an unfair advantage. Just because I can do something that you can't do doesn't mean that there weren't players around that were my size. So that's not ridiculous. They didn't ban him in the pros from dunking the basketball. It was in college. So how good was Larry Bird? He was an all-time great. Larry Bird was absolutely incredible. That's really all I have to. I spoke about Larry Bird earlier, and I think Larry Bird is a top 10 player all time. No doubt about it. Jay, to answer your question, how awesome was Len Bias? He was a franchise. If let me ask you this question, Jay, because I'm pretty sure you watched the game today. How many guys can you say in the last, let's just say 10 years, are franchise players? And what I mean when I say franchise players, I mean we building our unit around this dude right here. We starting over, and this is the guy you starting over, and this is the guy we building our unit around. How many guys can you say over just the last 10 years? We're in December of 2021. How many guys can you say that you've seen over the last 10 years that you could say we building our unit around this dude? Bryant, okay. I'm listening. Mm-hmm. What's up, Jessup? What's up, Jess D? Good to see you, brother. Leonard, okay. Yeah, I'll be going to TikTok later on tonight. Steph Curry, okay. This is just in the last 10 years, Julian. Not not all time, just in the last 10 years. James, okay. Chris Paul, all right. Think we can build it around Luka? Okay, Luka. Giannis. You think you can build it around Russ? You feeling building your unit around Russ? James Harden, okay. That's 8. KD, that's 9. Okay. You think you can build it around? You think you can build it around Dame? I think Dame is a franchise play. That's 10. Absolutely. Joker, Trey. Mm-hmm. All right. Embiid. You building your team around Embiid, Dwayne Wade. So that's like 15 guys. Len Bias is in that group. He's that guy that I'm building my unit around him. That's how good he had the potential to be. This is going to be our guy, and we building our unit around him. Mm-hmm. So All right. It's about that time, guys. So I'm gonna go catch a little bit of this Miami Heat game. They got Milwaukee in town. Greek Freak is in town. So hang on for a second. Would you my argument going against LeBron is I don't think there's a valid excuse for his finals losses. And yeah, it's on ESPN, Daro. So I'm gonna get to this game. But it's good to talk to you guys. I'll be on again tomorrow night. Yes, I will. We'll do this again tomorrow night, and I'll be back talking some more with you guys. As always, I love it. Love to see you guys, and we'll do it again tomorrow night. So until then, take it light, but take it.